UFOs are real, burgeoning, not going away. I'm your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli, coming to you from an undisclosed location somewhere deep in the heart of the Santa Monica Mountains. We're going to be talking about Roswell today. I think you'll find it interesting, and we'll get into it right after a word from our trusted sponsor. Folks, have you taken a good look at the banks lately? On the surface, everything seems fine, but there seems to be a whole lot more going on underneath. It's like looking under the hood of a car and finding a mess of broken wires and parts. The parts are loans for homes, cars, and those credit cards we all use. Folks, they're hitting record highs. It's kind of scary when you think about it. Why risk your money for a tiny 5% return when things are so shaky? This is where Noble Gold Investments can help. They're like that friend who knows all about keeping money safe. They suggest gold and silver, oldies but goodies in the financial world. Plus, they've got a sweet deal, a free quarter-ounce gold standard coin this month if you qualify. Pretty good stuff, right? If you're curious, just give them a call at 877-646-5347. It's just a chat, no pressure. They'll help you figure out if gold and silver are right for you. Or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Once again, the number 877-646-5347. Folks, we've invested in Noble Gold, and quite frankly, I'm glad we did. This is the Roswell Daily Record. It's not the original paper. It's a reproduction, but a really good reproduction of it. And you can see the headline, RAAF captures flying saucer on ranch near Roswell. And of course, the date here is Tuesday, July 8th. Well, guess what? On July 9th, General Ramey empties saucer and says, what here? Excitement not justified. So the bottom line is, what is the truth? What is the truth? What really happened at Roswell? That's why we made the two films. The first one is called Exoneration. And the reason why we do this is because it exonerates the Marcel name. In our opinion, Marcel was nothing more than a patsy. He's gone on the record, Jesse Marcel Sr. has gone on the record stating as much, that General Ramey and Major Marcel knew that the wreckage that was in the room. So this is what happened. Marcel looked at the wreckage, it was real. Then Marcel was trotted to another room. When he came back to the room, there was the press, and the material had been switched to that of a weather balloon. Why would he make up a story like this? So I'm going to read this. No details of flying disc are revealed. Roswell hardware, man and wife report disc seen. So we got eyewitnesses here, okay? So let's get into this. The intelligence office of the 509th Bombardment Group at Roswell Army Airfield announced at noon today that the field has come into possession of a flying saucer. So, I mean, they're really going to make that much of a mistake, right? Let's continue. According to information released by the department over authority of Major Jesse A. Marcel, intelligence officer, the disc was recovered on a ranch in the Roswell vicinity after an unidentified rancher, that was Mac Brazel, had notified Sheriff George Wilcox here that he had found the instrument on his premises. Major Marcel and a detail from his department went to the ranch and recovered the disc, it was stated. After the intelligence office here had inspected the instrument, it was flown to a higher headquarters. So is that Dallas, Fort Worth? It might be. But anyway, the intelligence office stated that no details of the saucer's construction or its appearance had been revealed. This is where it gets interesting. Mr. and Mrs. Dan Wilmot apparently were the only persons in Roswell who had seen what they thought was a flying disc. They were sitting on their porch at 105 South Penn last Wednesday night at about 10 minutes before 10 o'clock when a large glowing object zoomed out of the sky from the southeast, going in a northwesterly direction at a high rate of speed. Let's stop right there. Weather balloons, I don't care whether they're mogul or anything else, do not travel like that. Do not travel like that. So let's continue. Wilmot called Mrs. Wilmot's attention to it, and both ran down into the yard to watch. It was in sight less than a minute, perhaps 40 to 50 seconds, Wilmot estimated. Wilmot said that it appeared to him to be about 1,500 feet high and was going really fast. He estimated between 400 and 500 miles per hour. In appearance, it looked oval. in shape, like two saucers inverted and faced mouth to mouth. Where have we heard that before, right? The entire body glowed as though light were showing through from the inside, though not like it would have been if a light were merely underneath. From where he stood, Wilmot said that the object looked to be about 5 feet in size, and making allowances for the distance it must have been from town, he figured that the object must have been 15 to 20 feet in diameter, though this was just an estimate. Wilmot said that he heard no sound, but that Mrs. Wilmot said she heard a swishing sound for a very short time. How many times have we heard that? The object came into view from the southeast and disappeared over the treetops in the general vicinity of 6 Mile Hill. Wilmot, now get this, Wilmot, who was one of the most respected and reliable citizens in town, kept the story to himself, hoping that someone else would come out and tell about having seen one. But finally today decided that he would go ahead and tell about seeing it. The announcement that the RAAF was in possession of one came only a few minutes after he had decided to release the details of what he had seen. It's amazing. That's the truth, in our opinion. Something did crash there. It was not a mogul weather balloon. I do not believe it was back-engineered Nazi technology. I just don't. There's also the affidavit from Walter G. Haut, and you want to check that out. You can go online and check it out for yourself. I may actually read it here next week because it's just, this is like a deathbed confession, a sealed affidavit. It wasn't open till after his demise. And in that, he says very plainly that he handled the wreckage. They were passing parts of the wreckage around a table. General Ramey was there. Obviously, Haut, Lieutenant Haut was there. I think it's Haut, but I'm not sure. It might be Haut, but I digress. So Ramey's there, Haut's there, Marcel's there, and other people are there, and they're examining this stuff, passing it around the table. No one had ever seen anything like it. Then we've got the words of Jesse Marcel Jr. Now, in our films, we actually interviewed Linda Marcel, Jesse Marcel Jr.'s widow. And you got to remember, that's why we call the film Exoneration, because in our opinion, we've hopefully exonerated the Marcel name. He was not some drunk Jesse Marcel Sr. He knew what he was seeing. He was briefed in the latest. The guy was the intelligence officer of the 509th Bombing Group. And just to put it in perspective, the 509th at that time is the only nuclear-capable outfit on the planet. On the planet. So, in our opinion, exoneration speaks volumes. The other is in the debris field. And we actually go to the debris field. You see, this is what and I'm boasting here and I get it, but this is real investigative reporting. In other words, I can read different books and all this other stuff. I can do that, and that's required. That's the primer. I read what other people have discovered, what other people have talked to witnesses. But then I got to go out in the field. I've got to talk to Linda Marcel, Jesse Marcel Jr.'s widow. I have to talk to one of his best friends, Dr. Richard O'Connor, talk to his daughter, Denise. Then we flew, Gil Zimmerman, my business partner, and I, along with Jim Peterson, we flew to Roswell. And Dennis Baltizer, who's been involved in the whole Roswell phenomenon for decades, we interviewed him, as well as Frank Kimbler. And Frank took us out to the debris field, along with Chuck Zukowski, and we found 2 pieces of the metal. It's on film. You can check it out yourself. You can go to streaming.lamarzulli.net. Folks, this is huge. We are the only Christian ministry, and I know I'm boasting here, but nobody else does this stuff. We do. We're out in the field. You know, we're in the debris field, flying the drone. Folks, this is in the middle of nowhere. Absolutely in the middle of nowhere. And we had 2 metal detectors. Chuck Zukowski had one, Frank Kimbler had one, and we found 2 pieces of the metal. The metal has been tested. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Streaming.lamarzulli.net or lamarzulli.net if you want the hard copy. I will be talking about this at the Prophecy Watchers Conference. You're going to want to check that out. It's in Orlando, same place we did it last year. It's a great venue. Hope to see you there. ProphecyWatchers.com, ProphecyWatchers.com. Thanks so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button. Remember, folks, UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection. Late this afternoon, a bulletin from New Mexico suggested that the widely publicized mystery of the flying saucers may soon be solved. Army Air Force officers reported that one of the strange discs had been found and inspected sometime last week. Our correspondents in Los Angeles and Chicago have been in contact with Army officials endeavoring to obtain all possible late information. Joe Wilson reports to us now from Chicago.
The Army may be getting to the bottom of all this talk about the so-called flying saucer. As a matter of fact, the 509th Atomic Bomb Group headquarters at Roswell, New Mexico, reports that it has received one of the discs which landed on a ranch outside Roswell. The disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico, and the rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazell was the man who discovered the saucer. Colonel William Blanchard of the Roswell Air Base refuses to give details of what the flying disc looks like.